All right. There is a big difference between spiritual practice and smoking the dope. Smoking the dope. With spiritual practice, there is self-effort, which will bring you to grace. With dope, there is no self-effort, and the result is not grace. It is a facsimile experience. What does that mean, a facsimile experience? All right, what does that mean?
It means it will go away.
No.
It mimics.
It mimics. It mimics.
It's manufactured.
It's manufactured. It mimics. It mimics. It mimics. How many people have bought knockoff Pradas or knockoff Coach?
Designer or something.
Designer somebody, knockoff. Does it hold up to the real thing? Why not?
It's not the real
Not the
thing.
same thing.
Well, why not?
It's
Why?
not made the same way from the same stuff.
Right. Its source is completely different. The source from the smoke and the dope is completely different. With spiritual practice, it is never over, as long as you practice. We do not wake up and back to the delusion of the small self. With dope, we are continuing the small self delusion. We are on the grid. We wake up to where we were, if we're lucky, and have a great memory. That's it. Smoking the dope. You wake up hopefully to where you were. Why do I say hopefully to where you were?
You could be a lot worse off.
You could be a way lot worse off. And gradually, what does happen?
Well,
You become-
Becomes worse. Becomes worse, depending on the particular substance, the dope of choice. Practice brings us permanently to God and love. We are independent then and free. Independent and free. So is this practice, that what we do here, designed to bring you to independence?
yes.
It is.
Depends who's being independent.
It depends.
But there are no's.
There are no's in here. So what does that mean? What's the no in here? And why would there be a no?
Because we have to surrender
What do you have? Who has to surrender?
your small self.
No, you do. Because you're identified with
My small self.
your small self. So
I
you.
do. I do.
You do. You do. And here we go. So dope brings us to dependency with a pusher and the dope. Did you forget that? You got to have access to the dope. I don't even know how to do that. I'm really out of the loop. If we're smoking the dope, we are never free. Depending on the dope, we either numb or delude our small self into thinking all kinds of things. Correct? Correct. The problem is what people believe the goal of spiritual practice. If the goal is numbing, dissociating, and have super dope-like experiences, then you may as well just do the dope. Right? The price is the same, for, price is the same. Pretty much. Or it might be more. It's probably more expensive doing the dope. We were talking about this, that I'm cheaper than dope. But there are drawbacks. Lifestyle, though, may be more indulgent for your small self if you're smoking the dope. Easier? Yeah, easier. With this goal, the small self is then enlightened, right? And you do not have to surrender anything. That is, if the goal is to be dissociative, numbing, and having super dope-like experiences. How many people think that that's the goal? Raise your hands. Honest. Yep. Raise your hand.
What's the question? Again, can you repeat the question?
Do you believe that the goal is to be dissociative, numb, no feeling, and have super, thanks for asking, super dope-like experiences? With this goal, the small self is enlightened and you don't have to surrender anything, right? What a cool thing. So that puts me as the meanie. I get to be Rohini the meanie again. Why?
Because you don't let numbness be an option.
Right, so I'm not letting you all have the goal.
You're basically saying the emperor has no clothes. You're living a false.
I'm living the false life. I'm living the false life. Correct? Because what's the goal? To have no feeling and to have super duper dope-like experiences. Now, how do you get the super duper dope-like experiences if you're not smoking the dope? Shakti.
Hanging out around you.
Oh, right. There's the draw. You gotta hang around me. That meanie. The person that just doesn't let you just bask in the wonder of the numbness, no feeling, and super duper Shakti experiences. So, you have your idea of God, right? It's an idea of God. You don't really want God, you get an idea of God. Your idea of the world, and your idea of everything. You will just need, if you're going to do the dope, you're just going to need a good supplier, right? The supplier can either be really nice and friendly, or I'm the supplier of what? What am I the supplier of?
Painful truthiness.
Painful truthiness. And what? What did you say?
Energy, Shakti.
The Shakti. So what do you have to do? So you have choices. You either have to put up with the supplier of the dope, and you're illegal, except for less illegal in some places. Or what? You gotta put up with
You.
me. You gotta put up with me. Because I'm not just letting you smoking the dope. I'm not just letting you drink the Kool-Aid, am I? I'm making it hard for you, all of you. I could just make it so easy and just sit here and you just could have the Shakti and numb and it would just be so good. But there's a problem with that. We're not on the same, I'm on a different page as to the goal of spiritual practice. I'm on a completely different page. So people who believe this dissociating, not feeling, and having Shakti experiences is the goal, which is the same goal as smoking the dope people, feel a little more arrogant than they actually, those kind of people. You guys get, because you're not smoking the dope. Because you worked a little bit to get what?
Openness to the experiences.
Openness to the experiences. So you know you're not dependent on the dope, right? And now you've taken ownership of the Shakti, right? But what's the problem?
We don't own
We still need to go back to this.
If you're operating according to this, do you still need a pusher?
Yes.
And who's the pusher?
it. Yeah.
Me. Rohini's the pusher. How sad. But hey, you can periodically think what you're enlightened and finished. Why?
Because you're responding to the Shakti?
Yeah, because the Shakti is just like doing a really cool thing for you. You're just like surfing the Shakti and you're having the Shakti. And who's having the Shakti? Who's having the Shakti? Small self. Small self is taking ownership for the Shakti, right? So, are you ready to strike out on your own? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Woohoo! Yeah, you are. Okay. Here comes the problem, though. This is what I teach. This is what I'm interested in. But if you really want God, you will have to have a teacher. You will have to give up dissociating. You will have to give up those super duper experiences. You will have to give the one who wanted those super duper experiences in the first place. That's just the way it works. You will have to be awake. You have to be awake. Oh my God. You have to be awake. You have to be alive. You have to be responsible. You have to live your life. You have to take true ownership for yourself. You have to be you. I'm sorry. Because there is a really, really big difference between smoking the dope, drinking the Kool-Aid, and actually doing spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is going to get you to be actually independent and alive and happy. Truly happy. The way to true independence is to surrender the small self. Because the only one who is independent is the only one who's independent.
God.
God! God. And I'm not talking about God as a little anthropomorphic little guy. I'm talking about God, the self of all, the Tao, everything. When you say, I do not want to be dependent on Rohini, you are so right. Oh my God, neither do I. I don't want to be dependent on Rohini. God forbid anybody should be dependent on Rohini. Oh my God. And I spent so many years working really, really hard so that I was not dependent on Rohini. She makes some pretty interesting assessments of things. Whew. No. I want to be with God. People used to say, you are dependent on Baba. And I would say, thank God. Baba wanted what was best for me. Rohini didn't. Rohini wanted what was best for Rohini. So by surrendering to the Guru, who by the way is not an individual, and I know a lot of people don't believe that, but that is the truth. I was able to begin the process of freeing myself from myself. By surrendering to Baba, I am freer and more independent than I ever was before meeting him. And it's not because I've aged, because I know a lot of old people that are so attached, so committed, so not free. So the true teacher wants the student to become the master. If you're smoking the dope, do you ever get to be the master? If you're drinking the Kool-Aid, do you ever get to be the master? The dope doesn't want you to be the master. The dope encourages you to adore and need it. The small self is the master then always, and you are dependent. The small self runs you to the dope. So my joke is the small self dopes. I mean dupes you with dope. So what about the teacher? The teacher can be like smoking the dope. If what? If that teacher is going after numbing and blindness. But if you have a teacher that is surrendered to God, then your life will get better and better. Baba used to say that if you go to a guru, even a true guru, and your life does not get better, does not, within a year, then you're with the wrong guru. If you're smoking the dope, does your life get better? If you're drinking the Kool-Aid, does your life get better? Nope. So when you're smoking the dope, your life will get worse and worse. It will crumble. And the time under the influence will become the main focus. With spiritual practice, your daily life and relationships become alive, and you are free to be you. But there's a problem with it, with spiritual practice. What's the problem with spiritual practice?
You gotta work.
You gotta work, I'm sorry. You gotta work. You gotta actually do the work. So if you just think you can sit and bask in the Shakti and be numb, you're just smoking, you ghost just smoking the dope. You gotta work. You got to work. And that's where I am a meanie. And I'm okay with it because I learned that from my Baba. Baba was a meanie then. Because you got to work. So, what do I want? What's the goal of spiritual practice?
God, love.
Mm-hmm.
Be who you are.
To be who you are. Independence. Complete, total independence. If you're smoking the dope,
You're dependent.
you're dependent. If you're numbing,
You're totally dependent.
if you're looking for super duper experiences, you're completely dependent. And so, for people who smoke the dope and got really hooked on it, what happens to them? Do they hate the dope? They have a love-hate relationship with that dope? Yeah. Do they resent the dope because they're dependent on the dope? So if what they're looking for is a super duper Shakti experience and that's all they want, so they don't want to have it for themselves, who are they going to end up hating?
The teacher.
The teacher. The teacher. Because they can't get to have it for themselves. Why not?
You're small self can't get there.
Because you don't want to do the work. You got to do the work. So, the biggest, most incredible gift Baba gave me, the final, most unbelievable gift that hurt me so much, was that Baba left his body. He left his body. And the gift was that I couldn't be dependent, or think I was dependent, or think anything. He had given me everything. He taught me the practice. He showed it to me. And I couldn't any longer ever think that being in his presence was just from him. So when I was in his presence, I experienced an incredible experience and love and depth. And in the whole ashram it was like that. Everywhere he went, because Baba was there. had to go and I had to go, oh, wait a minute. And I've said this before, I'm experiencing this. I don't know what Bob is experiencing, but I'm experiencing this. So, when and how did I experience that? What happened around Baba? What happened around Baba was there was no small self. Rohini didn't exist. Rohini had to go. And for all of you who have had the super duper experiences, when you go, oh, look at that! End of the experience. The experience leaves. So what it comes down to is I want you to be dependent. Not on Rohini, but on God. No one should be dependent on Rohini. You have to be reliant on the practice. It's about the practice. It's always been about the practice. And with Baba, I loved Baba. I know a lot of people don't like me. It's okay. I like me. I think I'm fun. I enjoy my company. I like my jokes. And I enjoy my jokes and I laugh a lot at my jokes. But a lot of people don't like me. That's okay. You don't have to like me. But you better like the practice. It's about being committed to the practice. And until you are 24/7 surrendered to God, then I'm sorry, you're going to need a teacher. You're going to need a teacher. So the problem with real spiritual practice is you have to work. So much easier to smoke the dope. There was a person who came here many, many years ago who had gone to there's famously these retreats in Costa Rica where everybody's smoking the dope. Running through the woods being yogis, smoking the dope. And she said to me, sitting with you is exactly the same as smoking the dope. And it's so much easier to just smoke in the dope. And I said, well then, go smoke in the dope. And I never saw the person again. They were probably off smoking the dope. Unfortunately, you gotta keep smoking the dope. You are to become the master only by surrendering to the master, God. And though it sounds really simple, it is anything but easy. It's hard work. And if any of you think that it is not, you better go smoking the dope and drink some Kool-Aid, because you're obviously drinking some Kool-Aid if you think it's really easy. And the truth is, real, honest spiritual practice is not for everybody. It isn't. It's hard work. You gotta let go of every frickin' attachment you ever had. Doesn't mean you have to get rid of things. You just cannot be identified. And why not? Because who we really are is none of the things we're attached to. None of the qualities, none of them. So I did a couple of 4 squares. One of them is dependent. Don't want anybody to be dependent. Oh my God. But if you're smoking the dope, you're completely dependent. If you're drinking the Kool-Aid, you're completely dependent. And if you're attached to super duper experiences and numbing, then what are you completely dependent on? Your small self. So, opposite of dependent, independent. Positive of dependent, reliant. You rely on. Is there a problem with relying on something?
Depends on what it is.
Depends on what it is.
Not if it's reliable.
That's right. And negative of independent.
Lost.
Anger.
Abandoned.
What do you say?
Abandoned?
Abandoned? No,
Not in this.
not in this category here.
Arrogant.
Arrogant. Arrogant. Arrogant. Arrogant. You are too arrogant to rely on anyone. Arrogant. 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 Too arrogant to rely on anyone. So, I had cancer. It was last 13, 14, 13, where are we? 13 years ago. I was diagnosed with cancer in October. Was I going to be independent and take care of it myself? No. Was I dependent and just sort of passively just went, no. I was independent and I relied on my doctors because I had good doctors who were taking care of me. And then I relied on the people to help me, my family, friends, to help me when I couldn't move. Does that make me weak? Yes, that's your answer. Yes, makes me weak. I will always then be weak. And I'm okay with that. If spiritual practice is dissociating, numbing, not feeling, and having super duper experiences, and that's the goal, I probably had that and reached the final goal long before I met Baba. Long before I met Baba. I think I probably, during grad school, I reached the highest state and then went downhill from there, to where I am now. Thank God. Thank God. No feeling? Oh my God. Why do you think God created all of us?
To manifest, to be, to live.
To feel, to love, to play. You guys are such idiots. If I look at what's going on in Europe right now, for all those people stuck on borders, families stuck, and I am dissociating, numbing, not feeling, and thinking that's the highest state, there is something seriously wrong with my practice. But that's what you're espousing. No feeling. So when I see someone else hurting, no feeling. No feeling. Am I supposed to laugh? Oh, well, that would be sort of feeling in a different way. So what's the feeling that you have in the highest state when you're smoking the dope and drinking the Kool-Aid? What's the highest state? What's the feeling? No feeling? What is it? Is it nothingness? Is it nothingness? Is it nothingness?
That's like the numbness, or it's nothing.
It's nothing.
Yeah, lost in the fog.
Nothingness. That's the highest state? That's the goal for being here? I'm going to tell you, if that's the goal, don't come back. Don't waste your money here. As cheap as I am, cheaper than the dope. Definitely cheaper than dope. But if that's the goal, just go watch TV. Yeah, or if you don't have TV, if you have internet, you can just watch YouTube forever. Highest state. Wow, I don't want that. If that's the goal, I certainly don't want it. That was not what Baba taught. Not what Baba taught. Another Foursquare. Committed to practice. committed to practice. Opposite,
Committed and not practice.
self-indulgent. You're committed to self. Paying attention to self. What's the negative of committed to practice?
Numbing.
It's like you. It has that like idea of like you give up yourself, like you.
Nope. Negative
Negative.
of committed to practice. Go ahead.
Fanatical or obsessive.
Yes. Fanatical or obsessive. Oh my God, you go see that Rohini 3 times a week? You're so dependent on her? Oh my God. You're fanatical and obsessive. Better to be smoking the dope. What's the positive of self-indulgent?
Independent
Hmm?
or independent.
It's the opposite of fanatical and obsessive. Self-restrained. Measured.
These are both
Paying
paying
attention.
attention to yourself, but in different ways.
Different ways of paying attention to yourself. I do not, I'm going to say, do not want you dependent. Trust me. Ian, there's a picture of you right there.
Look good.
You look good. And there's a picture of you there when I was 7 months pregnant with you. You look good.
It's not his nose.
Did I want you, because I brought you up.
Mhm.
So we have technically a parent-to-child relationship. Did I want you to be dependent on me?
Not at all.
Like, never. For God's sakes, grow up.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point growing up was, and it was expressed, to give us the skills and the tools to be independent and to be functional on our own.
Dependency? Oh my God. The drag of all drags. Annoying as all get out. Ugh. No. So, am I patient?
Fair.
And what am I ramming down your throats?
The importance of practicing and turning to God.
So that you can become what?
Independent.
Independent. Completely, totally independent. Does that mean you then don't talk to me ever again?
No.
That is what it is. Yeah. So does that mean you then go off and put your own shingle out there and you don't have a teacher? Why do I have the pictures of Baba up here? Because they're not good pictures? They are good pictures.
Here's your teacher.
He is my teacher. He is still my teacher and will always be my teacher. And I pronoun to him and I thank God, because what he did was he gave me independence. He freed me. He freed me. Smoking the dope, drinking the Kool-Aid. We weren't taping, I swear. It does not ever work. If you think dissociating is going to bring what it is the answer, I will be sitting, and you come into my class, I will be sitting here fighting you tooth and nail. Does not work. And if you want to be stroked because you think you've had super duper experiences and now you've arrived and you think that your super duper experiences are the end of the road, wow. If that were the case, I didn't even need to go to Baba. I already had the super duper experiences. As a matter of fact, as a little girl in my room in Waban, Massachusetts, I had the super duper experiences. So by the time I was 8 years old, I was having super duper experiences. So what the heck? Oh, right. I was still feeling though, so I needed to learn how to dissociate a little bit better. Not to worry, by the time grad school came, I got dissociating pretty well down. Wow. 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 Smoking the dope, drinking the Kool-Aid. Ever. So, anybody have any comments? We move on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Has your life changed?
Absolutely.
Just a little bit. And what had to happen for your life to change?
Surrender of practice.